Welcome to Apex Esports League. I'm JT. Tonight we're live on iRacing for the Pagnian Imports Ferrari 488 Championship. Tonight is round 3, so that sees us at Fuji International Speedway GP. We'll look at the session up tonight. At Fuji, we've got 10 minutes of practice. Weather conditions are clear. There's 10 minutes of qualifying. Race is 40 minutes. Cars are capped at 47% fuel, so they're gonna need to take fuel to be able to bring the cars home. We're looking at the standings as of round 2. We have Cameron Veacock having a good lead on the championship, sitting on 266 points, and things are pretty tight going down those standings. We could definitely see a fair bit of movement, and then possibly see Cameron steer ahead on the championship if he has a good run tonight. And then for round 2 last week, we saw ourselves at the Nürburgring GP, when Blake Urquhart went on to take victory after qualifying 3rd, and he also scored the fastest lap bonus points, so an extra 10 points going towards his way. And we'll take a look at the track now. So in Japan for Fuji, and it's a fantastic track. It's 4.48 kilometers long. There's a whole bunch of Ferraris out on the track already, so we're going to cross over now. If you're joining us for the stream, do say hello. Don't be shy. We've got 22 drivers in at the moment. We do have a debut driver joining us tonight as well. Through listening to the drivers doing their open practice. So we have championship leader Cameron Veacock. Dan Winrow. No drivers yet getting a completed time in. It's quite a lengthy track. It's very technical, very fast. Now, debut driver tonight is Fabio Doro. He's just loading into the session at the moment, or hasn't jumped into the car. Information working this time. Had some dramas the last couple of rounds. And if you are new to our streams, don't forget to hit that follow button as well. So we are here live on Monday nights for iRacing, and also Project Cars 2 on Thursday nights. First time starting to come through now. And Veacock coming in with a 1:39 flat. Danny Cross being second quickest, also breaking into the 1:39, certainly just 1:39.8. Stephen Banks setting focus time, then quickly park the car up. And Gallen also bringing the car back in. It's 4th quickest in practice at the moment. So again, doing well, setting at 140 on. He just overshot that right-hand hairpin. Oh, a tandem slide going on. That was Dan Bosch. Not sure who's in the blue car. Fabio Doro debuting with us tonight, so all the best of luck to Fabio. There's open practice complete. So drivers now have 10 minutes to try and get in a qualifying lap. It is crucial for their championship standings as there's 25 points on the line for pole position. So drivers do score those points for their qualifying session. Drivers loading in and quickly getting out onto the track. We also do have a whole bunch of sound effects controls that you get to play with underneath the stream. Jump in, use those. So you can throw cheers, applauds, boos, and a whole bunch of other fun sound effects as well. So do use those as the events unfold tonight. We're not getting too much interference coming through. We do have a bit of a storm where I am at the moment. Hopefully no interruptions to the connection at all. So if we do go offline, that's possibly what's occurred. And there's the other blue car, so we've had Nathan Peters in appearance again after a bit of a while not seeing him on track, so it's great to see him back racing amongst the rest of the guys. Seeing an additional FTR car out there now. And then I just actually had quite the blink out, a little bit of a connection interruption. As the lightning's cracking overhead here. We'll jump on board for a lap with the driver. Give us a hot lap around Fuji. Hey Nick, thanks for jumping on the stream. Hopefully we can try and cover all our drivers as well before we jump on board for a hot lap. There's a lot of Ferraris roaring, they're quite bunched up at the moment. Making his way out at the moment. That's Russell Gander just in front of him. So we've got about 8 drivers getting a qualifying time in. Seth just moved up on the board, sitting into 8th position with 1:43. Robbie Bradbury's holding pole position at the moment of 1:39.5. John Marinas not too far off, only a couple of tenths. 39.7. Cameron Veacock setting the fastest time in practice, but he hasn't got a time on the board yet. Not sure if he's struggling with the car at the moment or if there may be a bit of traffic issues causing for him. So it is about half of the field that we're waiting to get a time on. We're going to jump on board here. McCarvey. Very long pitch straight and very sharp turn 1. However, he can take a fair bit of speed through that hairpin. And a feather of the throttle through the apex of this corner. The car does slide outward. Bring it back into that exit curve to be able to get the foot down again. And a much faster sweeping right, no feathering here, flat stick all the way. He's going to try and bring it out just past this sign and then get onto the brakes down to another very sharp corner. So the more technical of the track. Take a fair bit of the track off. You can see him nearly hitting that bollard. He can get right up onto the green section of the curb. And this is probably one of the most trickiest corners here. The car really wants to steer out to the right. You got to bring it in and be under brakes. As soon as you do so, it nearly puts that car into a slide. So we're going to see possible opportunities for passing there for the drivers that can really nail that. And then it opens them up for those next few corners. Be able to take them on to this final straight. That lap there was a 1:40.334 by Ryan, his qualifying time. So that was his fastest lap of the session, so glad we didn't give him the old commentator's curse for that. Veacock has bumped Bradbury down and taken that pole position. Breaking into the 38, so 38.9. Oh, a little bit of a there going on, taking that curb. These cars do get thrown around a fair bit. Oh, I just heard someone crunching into the wall. There's 2 minutes left of qualifying. With lap times being around the 1:40s. This could be close to being most drivers' final lap. Drivers just crossing the control line. Will probably be able to squeeze another lap in. Fair few parked up. Gallen, I think that's Lucas Burt right in front of Gallen. Yeah, David Fabio just crossing the line. That was his best time in the qualifying. Set of 1:41.8. Patterson qualifying at 42.3. Says just under 4 seconds, separating 19 cars. So this is very tight. It's going to be a very exciting race to see. Corey Brand just coming out of pit lane. He hasn't got a time on the board yet. He's not going to have enough time to get around and get a time to lap in. Cochrane yet to get a time on the board. As is Burt. We just saw Burt peel out of the pits. Trying to gauge where he is. He's just made an error there. He may have had enough time. I think he's only had a couple of corners to go. There you go. Cochrane's just got a time in, and he'll have enough to get another lap in. That was at 140 flat. Hey, Cox, thanks for following the stream. Cochrane will have another opportunity to try and improve that time. He doesn't need to improve it by much to be able to move up a spot. Bartosz is only, we're looking at hundreds, only a few hundreds difference. So that's just how tight these drivers are getting these Ferraris around Fuji. Gomes crosses the line, didn't improve his time. I don't think it was a timed lap, so he's just getting in some practice. Our pole set it, still VCOP. 38.9 be beaten. Other front rowers besides Bradbury actually parked the car up. Bradbury runs nearly wide. He's really pushing this car. There's a bit of movement going on. School has just improved his position, moved up into 4th, 39.6. Oh, Gomes pins it on that final lap. Marsh is practicing in, and Bradbury also practicing. So that looks like all drivers done and dusted for qualifying, so we'll be bringing up those results now. So qualifying for round 3 of the Pagnian Imports Ferrari 488 Championship, Cameron Veacock takes pole position with a 138.997, and then our grid is then Robbie Bradbury, Stephen Banks, Jason Schooler, John Marinis, Daniel Gomes, Dan Bartosz, Mark Cochrane, Damien Cross, and Ryan DeCardia McCarthy being our first 10. And then look through, so we've got 22 drivers that have all been into the session. Last two, Corey Brand getting in a time towards that back end. Lucas Burt not getting a time on the board for qualifying. So then the session is actually now loading over into the race. Open view to the start. Yeah, I think this one's going to be fantastic for us to check out. One driver giving his apologies. Blake Urquhart not able to make it tonight. He's currently on the way back home travelling. I did jump into our Discord before to welcome everyone and wish them luck. Scene. So the drivers are needing to grid up now. They have done so, so they are ready to roll. Lights about to go green.
Green flag, green flag.
Round 3 underway. And we nearly got 4 wide at some points. There's some contact at the back. I think it's just rubbing. I don't think there's been a turnaround. Fair bit of contact. Oh, Nathan Peters did go off. Not sure what the extent of the damage is. Whether that was him being skittled all the way down through. It may have been a pinball. Veacock has pulled away pretty quickly. There's been some contact there. Seen Banks has taken damage to that front end. Oh, and I think a disconnect from Veacock. He's just blinked out completely. He was flying ahead. He had about 1.5 second gap over the lead. Corey Brand also got some damage. Leading a tow, as is Fabio. So it's now seeing John Marinas in race lead. Front rows matching up with each other. Oh, big slide. That's School up. He carried a lot of pace. He's on that racing line. He's going to have to move it off track so those cars come in, take that line. They're going to find him straight there. Drivers having to deal with some damage. Brandon Pickley, Bartish also coming in, so they've probably been given flag to come in and tend to damage. Corey Brand's tow now back and underway. Contact register showing a lot of single car incidents going on. Marinas, nothing's slowing him down at the moment. He's got some huge pace. Oh, and Veacock is back in. So he's got his disconnect resolved and came back in. That's going to put Veacock at quite the disadvantage for the championship standings. This is going to open up a big opportunity for some movement to take the this championship lead. Especially when the next contender was Blake Urquhart, who can't make it tonight. Hey, Balaki, thanks for jumping on the stream. Bradbury's going to be possibly having a little bit of a fight on his hands. He's got Gomes and Cochrane closing in pretty quickly. Cochrane's last lap a little bit off pace. Nearly a second slower than the two cars ahead. However, over the course of this lap, he's made up a heap of ground. Bradbury loses to Gomes. He's kind of braking, almost a little bit of a side draft, slowing down the car. Almost Bradbury was just yielding, giving that position. Alright, Chaz Barramundi, thanks for jumping on the stream. A little bit of a gap between the battle for second place. That's Cardi McCarthy. But he is quickly closing in. He hasn't got any pressure from behind, so he's going to be able to focus on these guys and join in the battle for the podium. Buckland also in behind Schooler. We saw Schooler get loose. I think it was on that same corner where he just went through, and he's got that pace back up now. And there's Hanks jumping on. Marinas is your dad. Glad to see you on there, showing your support. He's still flying ahead, no traffic in front of him. It's a nice open track. And looks like Bradbury's going to succumb to Cochrane. He goes for an outside move. Didn't have enough pace to be able to commit fully, but he's going to get him here. No, he pulls back. Bradbury's not going to let him have it easily. See them using that full curb. Banks trying to move up some positions. He was up towards that front end until he had to go into the pits. Dropped back pretty quick. And he's chasing down Pickley at the moment. Bad thing for all the drivers having to take that early pit. They're not going to be able to take any fuel. And a little bit of a blink out again. My whole house just absolutely shook. Aren't hearing any static, but I'm getting a lot of static through my headset because of the electrical storm around. That's going to be a big opportunity for McCarthy to now close in on Cochrane. He ran rather wide through that corner. Nearly a quarter of the way through the race. Just on the 31 minute now. Thanks, Cox, for letting me know. I can tolerate it in my ears, but it would be frustrating if it was coming through to you guys. Like Gomes starting to close the gap to Marinas. So when you had nearly a 3.5 second lead on the race, it's dropped down to about 2.5. So previous lap by Gomes of 39.8 to Marinas of 40.4. Easy to start sort of losing a little bit of a pace when you are as far out as you are. Perhaps he could be really hoping for is for that battle to continue behind him, as that was keeping him fairly occupied. Now that Gomes has gotten well clear of the fight they had between Bradbury and Cochrane, that's just allowed him to really focus on trying to get on the tail of Marinis. Requiring a tow, which was a debut driver, Fabio Doro, not having much luck. Oh, and he narrowly just avoided a touch. It was Nathan Peters. He came in pretty hot under the brakes. He did manage to take it out more wide instead of making contact with him. Peacock re-entering the race after the big disconnect that saw him drop down a lap, and he was out in the lead with a huge gap. And sudden disconnect. I believe last time that had happened to him, similarly, was coming down into the S's at Bathurst in the Super 2s. He's completely vanished. Just ahead of him, Shane Patterson is in 13th position. Peacock is a lap down, so he's trying to make his way back up. Marinis has managed to put that gap back up to the 3.5 second margin again. And he's got a more similar pace to Gomes at the moment. 40.5 to a 40.4 for their last lap. I think the fastest lap of the race held so far is Peacock setting a 39 flat. Holding 9th position, but he's going to be feeling a fair bit of pressure from Gander. He succumbs to as Gander goes for an inside move, but it's not enough. He gets in nice and close. He's really hunting him down here. Inside curbs cost him some pace. That's given it a little bit of breathing room to Winrow. Slowly making his way back up, whether he is going to have to come back into the pits. So he had to go in and use one of the fast repairs, get that car back up and going. But with the cars being capped at 47% fuel, it means they're going to have to come in and grab fuel around about 10 minutes to go at the latest. See some lap traffic going on. I think that's quickly behind. Steph in position 18. Marina's just lapping. We're on lap 8 of seeing Marinis lead for those full 8. As we saw Peacock disconnect on that opening lap. Lucky that livery is not too bad. Jules Cochrane. That must be Pickley that's being lapped. She's keeping quite good pace up with Bradbury. She was trying not to drop off and just give the room under those blue flag conditions. Games appears to be teetering with about a half-second gap at the moment. Looks like we're not getting full telemetric data coming through from iRacing, showing on the position tower to the left, car number position 13, that is actually Shane Patterson. So his info not coming through to now to be shown up on the overlays. So the blank name is Patterson. Coming up to a lap car as well. Can't quite make out cover. They're moving aside for him. That's maybe Pickley. Cowan just moves up a position. Cochrane's gone into the pits. Next car ahead of him now is Damien Cross. Couple of seconds ahead of Hodgkinson. He got held up a little bit then from Pickley. Bad timing mid-corner on that hairpin. Big spool up from Cochrane, trying to get back and underway. So he's actually racing Marinis for lead here in the pits. So they were the first of the front runners to have actually pit. A 20.2 second stop for Marinis, where it was Cochrane a 10.4. So that season come out in position 11 and 12. But all drivers ahead are going to have to come in and take on fuel. So if these two can stay out of trouble, they'll shoot straight on through to that front of the race. Hey, Simo. Yeah, Mick, the early stoppers will need to pit. So they did pit in those first couple of laps. If they had been able to hold out until about 10 minutes into the session, they could be able to scrape through with fuel. Daniel Games pitting in now. So here, Games was holding second position to Marinis before Marinis ended up pitting in. Oh, a bit of a slide from Cochrane. He's pushing that car. He's feeling the pressure from Marinis. And here they are on pit straight. Gomes, one of the last boxes. Can he get the car out and onto the track before Cochrane and Marinis make it there? Oh, blink at the back. I think that may be Fabio. Gomes re-enters ahead of them. There's even a couple other cars in between as well. So he's got Buckland and Patterson. .7 seconds for the stop for Gomes. So a real splash and dash, but will that be enough fuel to be able to get him home? And Marinis spending about 20 seconds in his pit stop. I'm assuming he's likely taken on tyres. He has managed to get around Cochrane. I do think lap one we had a few bumps and scrapes, a lot of single car incidents. I think the worst of it was Fabio and Dan, by the looks of it, that was the most common name, where they may have touched some other cars, but those cars didn't end up going into the pits. It was just Fabio. And I think Bartosz must have done alright in it. And I am getting some connection interruptions again as well. I did just blink out briefly. This storm can hold out another 25 minutes, it'll be fantastic. Our current race lead is Robbie Bradbury. Yes, Simo, we do have Steph running. Currently 17th, now just past the halfway point now. Take a quick look at the standings. And Lucas Burt running 22nd. I'm not sure if he may be actually towing at the moment. He's got a very long time on that. And the drivers have unlimited fast repairs. Corey Brand in 21st. Veacock in 20th. Suffered a disconnect. Austin lead on lap 1. Only to come back in at a couple of laps down. And then he had to wait for the tow conditions to get back on track. Good on him for not giving up, getting back on. Fabio Doro in 19th. Unlucky needing a tow very early on. Some bad luck for his debut race. Pickley in 18th. Banks in 17th. Looks like he's been in and taken on that second pit stop now, so he should be locked and loaded to be able to get to the finish now. He had that damage very early on, missing the bonnet. Nathan Peters in 16th. 15th we've got Michael Brennan. Damon Cross in 14th. Just finished his pit stop with a 50.3 second stop. He could have very well have been serving a stop and hold as well. That's quite a long stop. Drivers will receive a drive-through penalty once they accrue 17 incident points. It's usually just a drive-through, not usually stop and hold. It's usually for an unsafe pit entry or exit. So he may have come in a little bit too hot. We got Daniel Winrow, P13. Schooler in 12th. It's an Apex car behind. Hasn't got a name, so it's Veacock's car. Veacock opting to run the livery that I painted. Quite a little disconnect for me there. Probably getting the frustrated man on the Twitch stream when it gets to that point. Dan Bartosz, position 11. Shane Patterson in 10th position. He hasn't pit yet. Looks like he's got about 15 seconds between himself and Bartosz. I think Bartosz has only done a fast repair as well, a 3.2 second stop. So they're probably going to be safe and get that position back. Cochrane's dropped back a bit now. He did come out ahead of Marinas after being the first of the front runners to head on into the pits to take that fuel. He's It's 9th at the moment. Cardi McCarthy, P8. He's hot on the tail of Philip Buckland in P7. Buckland not yet pitting, so he's going to have to come in. Depending on what the drivers are using for all sorts of different overlays, most would have no clue whether a driver has pitted or not. So they're not going to know whether to try and make a move on them and take a little bit of a risk to get around, or if they should just sit back and wait for it. So you don't want to get caught up in incident with a car that's going to have to stop in the next lap or two anyway. McCarthy changes that position. It's a nice inside pass on that very sharp hairpin. Marinas in position 6. So at lap 15, we did see Marinas lead for the first 9 laps. And the pit stop costing him a fair bit of time. And we've seen the other drivers that were following behind at that point, who were holding 2nd and 3rd, both come out in front, and even then Bradbury in position 4. He's actually just ahead, so up in P5 is Bradbury at the moment, and he's been in and done the pit stop. Bradbury, P5 up ahead in P4, Daniel Gomes. 3 drivers ahead have not yet pit. Given Gomes is only 24.8 seconds away from race lead. That's going to see him take the lead once the drivers head in. Russell Gander currently in P3. He will need to stop, take on fuel. It's not going to be too much longer. They only usually get around the 30-minute mark, and that car's getting very light. Hodgkinson P2 also needing to come in and take on that fuel. Current race lead, John Gallen, has led for 2 laps. Lap 16, and I'm estimating we're probably going to see 24 laps most likely. So will Gallen come in? He needs to take the fuel to get the car home. It's 23.5 seconds away. Willis flying into the pit, is not wasting any time, but he cannot afford to be able to cost any penalties. I think that's what we saw happen to Cross before. I think he had to stop and wait for potentially 45 seconds in the pits. May have come in a little bit too quick. So now gives the race lead to Hodgkinson. And this track may be a little bit more harsh on the tyres. And if Marinas did take on tyres in that stop, being the reason for about that extra 10 seconds that he spent, could we then see that he's going to be really dialed in towards the back end of the race with much fresher rubber and a lighter car? So it'll be interesting just to see how it unfolds coming to this back end. Going after that flat pit stop. 10.3 seconds stop, and seen him come out into 8th. A little bit behind Cochrane. Just in front of Buckland, but Buckland hasn't taken on fuel. He's doing very well, especially with 9.5 minutes remaining for the race. So we're in that last quarter. Surely that Ferrari is going to be getting rather flighty. Especially at Fuji. A lot of off-camber corners, a lot of crests right on the apexes. And then the track limits you can really utilise getting right on those curbs. It's not actually an off-track for most of the track until all four wheels have actually crossed the white line or even actually gone right past the curbs. Yeah, that front runners all been in and pit. Daniel Gomes is in the race lead. He's only 1 second ahead of Bradbury. Gomes had a very quick stop. He's had the quickest stop, I think, of all drivers, potentially. No, actually, Vico coming in for fuel, a 7.3 second stop. And then next quickest was an 8.7, which is Gomes. Yeah, Buckland's just been in and taken that fuel, so that's all drivers now with fuel taken. It's been a retirement from Corey Brand. Lucas Burt still parked up in the pits. It doesn't look like he had a tow. I'm not getting that same signal that's come through from when they've had to tow the car. He's actually just parked in the pit and it's just counting that time up. So showing currently 789 seconds just sitting there. In third position. Further down track, that's Michael Brennan that's just weaved right off track. Marinas is going to have to be cautious here. Moves right over. Not sure what was going on for Brennan's car. Almost just like a tank slap, but on the straight. Has got a few seconds ahead of McCarthy. Daniel Gomes just under a second ahead of Bradbury. There's only going to be about another 4 laps in this. This is going to be a very close finish. Brunis has huge opportunity to still be able to close in on these two, especially with how close they are. They're going to be very occupied with each other. Mick Gomes is just looking at that relative, and looking at that mirror as he sees Bradbury hone down on him. Gearbox of Gomes. See Robbie Bradbury behind, trying to chase him down. See just how close they get and how far you can push those track limits around Fuji. Narrowly scraping those bollards. Shuttering a fair bit under the brakes. You see that ABS kicking in. trying to brake as late as possible now that he's got Bradbury chasing him down. Cochrane under pressure from Gallen. Is Gallen going to be able to get him through? It's going to be a tricky corner to try and pass. You really need to stay out wide for that corner. That inside section of the track really throws that car out into the spin. Even at a very slow speed. That's cost a bit of pace for Gallen. Is he going to be able to make that momentum up now and have a dig at him in these next corners? Cochrane's covering that inside line. Oh, a bit of a touch. Gallen trying to probe those openings now. It's quite a big skip we just got here. The Storm is kind enough just to give us the next 5 minutes to this. Several fights going on in these final laps. Bartich and Patterson in a fight for position 13. Big blink outs going on for Fabio. Unable to close that gap in, even with the fighting that's going on at the front. The two battling it out with only a few attempts difference. Oh, and he's touched. They've both spun. Pretty sure they're about even through that corner. So the two probably not too sure what's going on, who should redress, but I'm pretty sure they're about even. And that's been a big opportunity for Marinas. That's what he would have been hoping for, just for these two to get tangled up in the battle. So it's now brought him into the fight here. You can see these guys three-way fight for the win in the final lap. So it's 50 seconds to go. We're on the main straight now. So this will be white flag once they once Gomes crosses the control line. So it's final lap. Won't see it update on the system. Oh, Marinas covering that line. He's made his one move, so he has to hold it. We see a little bit of a switchback go on for Bradbury. He does get it. Marinas runs wide, but he's still carrying a heap of pace. There's a left-hander coming up. He's going to have the track position. Will he fight for it? Oh, he's got some drama. He's going to hear that rev limiter going. Not sure whose car. I think that may have been Bradbury. Spacing now, Gomes looking to be in a very good position. He's got 1.7 seconds over Bradbury, and Bradbury's got Marinas right on his tail. There's no room for error here. Only a few corners to go. We'll see the podium finish all within a few seconds. Bradbury's put enough space on here. If he can get this final corner locked and loaded, he's done for position 2. This will be race victory for Daniel Gomes. Crosses the line, checkered flag for Gomes. Well done. P2 for Robbie Bradbury. John Marinas, P3. Scotty McCarthy takes P4. Gallen having gotten Cochrane. Crosses in 5th. Actually seeing a movement showing that Cochrane's taken 5th, Gallen in 6th. Could there have been some incident points to have moved him? Hodgkinson 7th. Russell Gander's coming up to finish in P8. Podium finishes all bringing the curry, not even any victory burnouts. They are probably absolutely exhausted from that battle. The school at P9, Damon Cross in 10th. He's probably trying to turn that traction control off to do a burnout across the line. He comes Philip Buckland, bringing it home in 11th. Seconds behind Daniel Winrow, sliding the car across the line, position 12. Shane Patterson and Dan Bartosh, very tight finish. Just having to avoid Dan Winrow. They finish very close to each other. So well done, 13th, 14th. Nathan Peters crossing in 15th. Nice finish and welcome back to your return. Running in the league. Thanks. Heap unfortunate luck in the race. Brings it home in 16th. Veacock 17th. Still enjoying some burnouts, regardless of suffering a disconnect. Particularly in 18th. Brennan's already jumped out 19th. Fabio debuting in 20th. Lucas Burt still parked up on that spot. Something must have happened and he had to duck off. Rather interesting as to what went on there. But we'll take a look at our standings now. There are 24 laps at Fuji GP. Daniel Gomes is our winner. And also on the podium is Robbie Bradbury in position 2 and John Marinas in position 3. So congratulations to Daniel Gomes taking the win, and our podium finishers Bradbury and Marinas. The rest of the standings is then Ryan DeCardia McCarthy, Jonathan Gallen, Mark Cochrane, Kellen Hodgkinson, Russell Gander, Jason Schooler, Damien Cross, Philip Buckland, Daniel Winrow, Shane Patterson, Dan Bartosh, Nathan Peters, Stephen Banks, Cameron Veacock, Stephanie Pickley, Michael Brennan, Fabio Doro, Corey Brand and Lucas Burt. So even showing Lucas Burt 22nd, despite a retirement out from Corey, so parking it up a little bit earlier. So very interesting what was going on there, but we'll cross over and see if our podium finishers have managed to join us. If they haven't forgotten to come across, we do have John in here. And congratulations, John.
Thank you.
It was a very good lead at the start of that race.
Yeah, I gotta look back and see how I spent so much time in the pits.
Yeah, it was
I
looking
thought
at
it
that
only
20-second stop compared to, I think it was when Cochrane came straight out in front of you. He only stopped for 10.4 seconds, so costing you that bit of time.
Yeah, I think that was the race. It's that pit. So I gotta figure out why that happened.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you might have took on tyres, if that might have added that extra bit of time for you.
No tires. All I needed was fuel.
A bit unfortunate.
I think the overcut is very strong in this series.
Most were averaging around 8 or 9 seconds. So yeah, definitely that extra 10 seconds with you only finishing in the end, what, 3 seconds away. So it could have still been that race lead for sure.
Yeah, I had a shot at second, but I screwed up turn 1.
Yeah, we would have almost had that right run to get him as well. It would have been a pretty good take on Bradbury for that, especially after the two got tangled as well. You know, really opened up the opportunity for you to get right in on their tail.
Yeah, I guess it's just unlucky in the end.
And they've all been shy and not jumped into the chat, so just left you on your own for the podium chat. But yeah, fantastic run. It was great seeing you really put that gap at the start. And it's a shame that pit stop messed things up for you. Otherwise, it probably would have been a pretty solid lead all the way through.
Yeah, I was hoping it'd be a smooth one, but yeah, it's unfortunate. Oh well.
Yeah, hopefully a little bit more better luck next week with the fuel, and you can figure out what went wrong for you.
Yeah, so I think it was unlucky for Cameron to he dropped out. I think he would have been the clear winner.
Yeah, well, he pulled away very quick, and then just complete vanish. So it would have been pretty fair. Maybe it would have been stay on, and if you could have even started to fight him a little bit as well.
Yeah, we'll put that one under a mechanical failure for him.
Yeah, and it's not the first time, so he's probably doing a fair bit of swearing once that dropped out. So yeah, hopefully a bit more luck for him next week, and then for you as well with your pit stop.
Thanks.
And then it should be a good run for next week, so good luck with battling it out at Red Bull Ring. So it's going to be a fantastic track to crash these Ferraris around.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very deadly. I think there's going to be a lot of smashes at Red Bull, so it's going to be a race of attrition.
Yeah, it could definitely be. Robbie, remember to jump in with us. Congrats.
Hey, mate. Yeah, I got there in the end. That was a
tiring run.
Interesting start and finish.
Yeah, it was pretty close tie-up between you and Gomes, getting that slide.
Yeah, at the end, that just had a look at it then, and I thought I was far enough up, but I was a little bit optimistic, and I don't think I think I caught him off guard a bit because he took the normal race line as well, so that's why we both came together. But yeah, I gave the spot back, but then I had John coming at me too at the end because I had a bit of straight line damage after that contact, so had to defend off John as well. And yeah, I bloody had no straight line speed for nearly most of the race until I pitted. I got a fair old punt off the start into one, and then I ran it. Then that pushed me into Banksy, and I nearly got John as well. So I was down on top speed. So I think it was Daniel. Yeah, he just flew past me on the straights, but I could keep up with him in the tighter stuff. So I was just sweating on the pit stop because I thought I'd have pace to give him a bit of a run for his money and get into it. So that I did, but didn't quite get it.
Down into turn one, just looked like you're dropping off right at that back end. So a bit of a side.
Yeah, because of that. Because of that, I had that rear damage, and then I had a bit of front damage from that turn one. A bit of biff and barge, and it just lost. I don't know. It just chewed me up. I couldn't even do anything. So, but then on the pit stops, I wanted to pit first. So I was trying to see where John came out. But then something must have happened in his stop. He must have had a bit of a longer stop or whatnot. Because Daniel jumped him, and then I seen he had clean air. So I thought, well, time to go now. And yeah, and then had to try and mow that gap down. But I think, could have been a really good battle at the start because Vcock, he had a disconnect, and then Banksy got a slowdown after that turn one, where he ran wide. Like where I hit him and pushed him out, he got a slowdown, so that pushed him back as well.
So that's why he was dropping back all of a sudden on the.
Yeah.
Interesting.
because I hit him and it gave him that extra momentum, and it's pulled him up as a slowdown, off-track slowdown.
You'll be impressed
So,
with you.
oh, it was all going on.
Yeah, you could hear plenty of bumps and scrapes going on. Not the amount of current that I thought would have ensured from the noise that was happening. Just a little, swapping of paint going on.
And, it's a fun track, that's for sure.
Yeah,
If you can get it right. But that last sector, I reckon that last sector's makes or breaks your lap. To be honest, like especially the second last one, turn 15, that off Campbell one, it's very on edge.
Yeah, there's only one line to that corner, and it punishes you for anything else. So it's
Yeah. So it's good to be back on. I haven't been on for a few weeks, so
yeah, good to see you back on.
it's good to get back into it. So
Overdo it, come back, take a podium.
yeah, well, a few of us like this track in the team, and a few don't. So I'm one of the few that like it. So I don't mind it. I liked it back in the PC2 days as well. So
yeah, it's one of my favourite. Very very fast yet very technical, and if you get that golden line all the way through, it's just absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. Well, setups, you can play with the setup a bit too, because you can either go, low wing or high wing, and it just depends if you want to be vulnerable down the straight or not. But you're going to be good on the rest of the lap. So it's sort of bit of give or take which way you want to go with that.
Yeah, it's going to be much the same next week too with Red Bull Ring. So it's,
Red Bull Ring, yeah. Well,
lots of varied corners in that one. So trying to get
I'm pretty sure everyone will have a low everyone will have a low wing there, so there could be a fair bit of gliding going on. Yeah. There should be some really tight racing there, because there's plenty. We've got pretty much 3 straights for slipstream, so that should make things very interesting. And I'm pretty certain, just about everyone's going to love that track as well. I couldn't see many not liking Red Bull.
Yeah, I think it is quite a favourite track. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Congratulations on a good run.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Congrats to the podium.
Next week.
Will do, mate. Cheers.
Catch you guys. There we have our podium finishes. Daniel Gaines not able to get into the chat. That was Robbie Bradbury in position 2, and then John Marinas in position 3. And what a race that those guys have had, plus all the drivers. So we'll be having some more interesting action going on next week. So we do head over to Austria for the Red Bull Ring GP. It's going to make a lot of great watching in these Ferrari 488s around Red Bull. So if you haven't hit the follow button yet, do so you can be notified when we go live back again next Monday at 7:35 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time. And there's more racing action on this Thursday night on Project Cars 2. So we're running the Toyota 86 Championship. It starts at 7:45 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So hitting that follow button will be having you sent a notification when we are live. Otherwise, just stay tuned, and then don't forget to check out our Facebook page so you can see results, standings, and what happened in any of the incidents, as well as those results come up over the coming days. Thanks for tuning in with us, and hope to see you trackside next time.